Shalom, up. Yeah, about to see myself right the third.
What's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on with you?
What's going on, bro?
Go ahead and get it started. Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, as usual, before I begin with this camp session, I want to start it off by facing the east, giving all the glory and infinite praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Akahadash. Those are the names of the Heavenly Father as well as His Son. In the ancient Hebrew, who the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus Christ. Thereby, I say the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who I'm taught and do learn this truth 100% from. Peace and blessings be to all you Wa'akwa'atim, who is serving Yahweh Shema Shan sincerely, hoping for mercy, as well as salvation in these other days, man. To you I say Shalom and Yahweh Shema Shan Brakathon. So, per usual, we're blessed with another week. By Yahweh Shema Shan to come out to the highways and the byways to prophesy the downfall of America, which is predominantly known as Babylon, the Great in the Scriptures, and to also the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, right, which would be the true biblical Hebrew Israelites according to the Scriptures, right, according to prophecy. Because when you read in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the Lord said He would give us signs, right, that indicate who His people will be in a lot of days. So it's not a thing of skin color, right? It's not a thing of appearance, because our people have been scattered amongst all nations, so therefore we would look like all nations. All right, but we come in and week out, right, to also prophesy the downfall of Babylon, and to warn you of these troubling times to come. All right, so nonetheless, this is going to be basically a news and prophecy World War III update. All right, something that I've been seeing, on the news. Right, and one thing that you have to do is you have to filter, right, and put the bullshit aside that you see, right, on on the news that you see in Babylon, right, because they'll paint a picture of, something that's happening when in reality, it could be something completely different. All right, but concerning the Strait of Hormuz, right, had a initial, after February 2028, or not 2028, it's like February 28th, after February 28th, they had an initial agenda, right, for a resume change, right, for a regime change, all right, over the Strait of Hormuz, right, because prior to February 28th, America had control over the JCC nation, right, which would be the western part of the Strait of Hormuz, but the regime change failed, right? The bombing campaign had failed, right? So Iran has basically had full control over the Strait of Hormuz, right? And this is basically a fight of global dominance, man, because with this new world order being established, all these nations, right, it's basically a fight to have leverage, right, at that table, man, right? The Strait of Hormuz, that's basically having leverage, right, over these nations, right, for the new world order, man. All right, this is why Babylon, after they had, did what they did to Venezuela, right? Because all that was, for the harvesting of oil and energy, man. Right, the Most High basically lured this man into a trap, right, and made his pride lift up to give him that thought to basically go do the same thing that he did in Venezuela to Iran, man. Right? So basically what we're seeing is a fight between two heavyweights, man. Right? Hence why you see Amalek, because the whole cause of this shit. You know, the scripture says in the book of Jeremiah, I shall draw them out. You see what Amalek said. Amalek, they be bombing shit, bombing hospitals, bombing apartment complexes. You know what I mean? Bombing civilians. But you see, they ain't nowhere to be found when it comes to this war between America and Iran. That's because Amalek is a damn featherweight, right? We seeing two heavyweights going at it, right? But this is a fight over global dominance, man. All right, because America, they want that say so, right? They wanted that leverage over the rest of the world, right? To have that on and off switch of the Strait of Hormuz, man. All right, but Iran, they not going for it, man. All right, they not going for that shit. You know what I mean? Let's go to the book of Jeremiah 51. Verses. That's 50 slack. This is the book of Jeremiah 50 and 20. And it reads, in those days and in that time said the Lord, the iniquity of Israel. Or Salakia, it's not this. Jeremiah 50 and 21, Salakia. It says, go up against the land of Mithraim, against it, and against the inhabitants of Pekod. Right, Pekod, you know, the definition of Pekod basically goes into punishment or visitation. Right, you know, originally, you know, this was going into the rebellion of the Tower of Babel, right? But modern day Babylon, right? Babylon the Great has been in double rebellion, right? So the Most High is going to visit this place, right? That double rebellion, you know what I mean, in the form of a nuclear annihilation, right? So this is why, you know, we see that these tensions are continuing to increase. Because again, this started going back to February 2028. Right? We are all the way in July now. Right? And say if there is a ceasefire. You know, I remember the elders was getting into it. Say if there is a ceasefire, you know, the war is going to start right back up, and it's going to start off where it left off at, man. Right? Meaning that it's going to continue to escalate, man. All right? So waste and utterly destroy after them, saith the Lord, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. Right? So one thing that the bro say about it is that the Most High is the ultimate chess player, man. Right? These nations don't do nothing, right? Including the so-called white man, they don't do nothing that the Most High don't ordain them to do. Right? When you read in the book of Proverbs, man, shut your bitch ass up. Let me see if I block this nigga. Get your ass off my shit. What the Most High does is he puts it in the mind of these kings to fulfill his will, man. That's why it says in the book, right here, reading over again, it says, and saith the Lord, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. So it's not nothing that they're doing, right, that the Most High haven't ordained them to do, right? Even with Trump, you know, basically going to Venezuela, you know what I'm saying, taking out their leader, right, is setting up a puppet. You know what I mean? Khan, I got you, Malak Salaki. All right, so with the Trump, they basically set up a puppet, right? A puppet to take over the oil and the energy, right? And the Most High gave them that thought, gave them that pride to lift up, to basically go do the same thing to Iran, man. Right? But Iran, like I said, they're not having it, you know. And with their regime change feeling and their bomber campaign feeling, right? That basically gave Iran dominance over the Strait of Hormuz, right? So America, they're trying to push their ships through. Right, and Iran is hitting them. Right, Iran is hitting them, basically letting them know, like, don't ship pass through without us giving it the say so. All right, and America, in retaliation, they'll strike. I think it's been going on 5 days now. All right, 5 days that they've been going at it. Right, but America would strike, and it'd be a continuing thing. Right, and Iran has launchers from the coast that can basically hit those ships. Right, from any direction, man. All right. It says, a sound of battle is in the land of a great destruction. You know, yeah. This is basically the soundtrack, right? This is the tune that's in the earth right now, man. Right? You know, going back to 2020, I remember whenever Trump at first came into office. I think what was it? His first run. His first run. You know, whenever he had bombed Hussein Soleimani, Iran's top general at that time, people thought that this thing's gonna take off like that. You know what I mean? People thought that shit was gonna hit the fan just like that. They thought that a drought was coming, in which is this is how you know that the Lord is speeding up the times, because in December of 2026, or not 2026, December of 2026 going on to 2027, they plan on automatically enrolling all you niggas. Shalom, how about Shema Shabbat? They plan on enrolling all you niggas into a draft, man. Alright? So that sound of battle was in the land, man. Right? That's basically the soundtrack to the earth right now, man. Right? And Yahweh Shai even said in Luke 12:49 that the earth will be kindled before he returns, man. How was the earth gonna be kindled? Right? Through all these different nations, through the uproars of the people, right? Through the rumors of wars, and we see these small wars right now. All these wars is basically just a starting point to a third world war, because Iran, they're backed up by who? They're backed up by China, Russia, and also I think North Korea, if I'm mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, man. Right? But they're backed up by 3 superpowers, man. All right. So that's initially how World War starts. You know what I mean? You know, after 2 weeks, another nation may join them, or another 2 weeks go by, then another nation may join them. That's how World War starts, man. Right? And we know that there's prophecy that the Most High was going to gather everybody into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, right? To basically have everybody fight each other off, man. And ultimately for Babylon's destruction, man. You know, this ain't going on for America's well-being, right? This is going on because this is the beginning of America's downfall. This is their demise, man. Right? And the Most High put the spirit on the so-called white man to be proud, right? To be proud, to basically fall into their trap. All this is a trap for the so-called white man Babylon, man. All right? And like I said, the Most High's vision, going back to the 21st verse, Pakad, which means punishment and visitation, the Most High is going to visit this place, right, not only by the place, but through a nuclear annihilation, man. Right? That's how this man is going to go out. Right? That's his demise. And on top of that, you smart headers, that land is going to be cleansed by nuclear fire as well, man. Right? So even though you got your hand in Babylon's back, you going to go out in the same fashion, man. All right? Because like I said, these niggas ain't nowhere to be found. Here it is. You the start of this war, right? But you just sitting back and shit. You know what I'm saying? Verse 22 over again, it says, the sound of battle was in the land and of great destruction. How was the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? All right, so this is basically a question that the Most High is asking, right? And the answer to that question, right, in 24 it says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou also taken it. What is that snare? What is that trap, man? That trap is the Most High lifting up, putting a pride on this man, right, to even go and try to take over the Strait of Hormuz, man, right? Because it's prophecy that the Most High was going to lift up, you know what I'm saying, those Elamites, right? The Most High was going to, pursuant to Ezekiel, I think it's the 38th chapter, the Most High was going to put hooks, right, into Gog and Magog's jaws, and basically put that old Soviet Union-like spirit back on him, man. Right? This is why Vladimir Putin, a lot of people blame it him being on his deathbed. No, that's because the Most High is putting the spirit on this man, right, to talk that shit against Babylon. Right? And it ain't even just Russia. Look at what Iran doing, man. Right? Iran, they backing that shit up. Right? And you'll have the so-called white man, he'll back up, you know what I'm saying? He'll declare for a ceasefire to try to back up because he getting his ass whooped, man. Right? But the pride of this man is he'll start the war back over again. Right? He'll start the war back over again. Right? And like I said, all this is going to do is lead to this man's demise, man. Right? The scripture says that this man is the most proud. Right? Even though he's getting his ass whooped, this man think he still has a chance. right? The elites think that they have a chance, right, to establish this new world order, man. Right? And yeah, the Most High gonna allow you to have your little run with it. Because when you read the book of, what is it? Is it Job the 23rd, not the 23rd chapter, Job 20 and 23. Right? The Most High said that he shall eat, right? Oh, no, not Salaki, but while he is eating, right, I would disappoint him. Man, I'm gonna grab it real quick. So I don't butcher. Salaki, give me a second. I'm gonna grab them presets here in just a minute, Salaki, bro. This is the book of Job, chapter 20, and verse 23. It says, when he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast his fury of his wrath upon how he is eating, right? And when is this man gonna be eating? And now we basically see him setting up the table, right? You know, he got the forks, he got all the you know what I'm saying, the little necessities out, got the table prepared with the little, you know, cloth on it and shit, got all the tears pushed in. You know what I'm saying? He bringing in the motherfucking, you know, he bringing in the, you know, the plates with the swan, with the apple in his mouth. You know, he bringing in all the different plates and shit, preparing that table for everybody to eat, right? But the Most High said, when he is about to fill his belly, right, meaning when he got this thing set up, right, when he got his new world order set up, right now we see him set it up at this moment. Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain out upon him while he's eating, which is going to be that nuclear annihilation, man. Right? If you think that these other nations got all these missiles, right, they got all this technology, right, just for no reason, it's fucking stupid. Right? I remember I had a Jake tell me that he don't believe that these other nations have nuclear missiles because if they would have them, they already used them. Nigga, the most, see, and this is the thing about Jake, right? Jake has been brought so low that these niggas don't even understand that the Most High is in control of everything. They still think that niggas have free will. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Alright? Niggas still think that everybody's in control of their own life. The Most High is in control of everything, man. Right? There's a reason why the Most High ain't put the spirit on these other nations yet. As a matter of fact, I remember a video came out not too long ago. Matter of fact, it came out a couple years ago online. Right? Of the other nations, I forgot who it was. They shot off a fucking rocket. They shot a rocket off, and the chariot came and zapped that shit, right? Stopped that shit from going to do what it was going to do. Why? Because it's not the Most High's will yet, right? The scripture says in the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, that it's a set and appointed time for everything, man. Right? There's a set and appointed time for everything, including this third world war, man. All right, let me see what a brother posted. This is the brother Taz from the Kansas City camp, Jeremiah 51:29. I think I got that plan to bring out too. It says, and the land shall tremble, and sorrow for every purpose of the Lord shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without habitation. Right? And that's that action that the Lord is going to perform against Babylon. Right? That's the future of America. You got motherfuckers going around Babylon praying for the nation, praying that it comes back great again, quote unquote, right? Praying for its well-being, right? But America's future is already written. Right? America's future, or the future of America, is for it to be completely destroyed, man. Right? You think the Most High destroyed all them other different kingdoms for being wicked, and you don't think that the Most High ain't gonna destroy this bitch? Right? This is the most wicked kingdom to even exist. Right? You got Sodom, Nineveh, you know what I mean? Egypt. What else you got? You got all these other different kingdoms, right, combined in one, basically. You think that the Most High gonna prolong this shit and let it go another 100, another 50 years? You crazy than a motherfucker, man. Right? the future for Babylon, right, in the scriptures, right, goes into this bitch completely burnt with nuclear fire, right? Because you got to think about it. In order for them to even come up with the concept and even how, and I bring this example out a lot, in order for them to even come up with the concept and then how to split a fucking atom, you know what I mean? Split an atom in half, man. Right? Some shit that you can't even see. They came up with a way, technology on how to split an atom in half to create this big ass explosion. Right? That should let you know that it is of the Most High, man. Right? The brother Zion, Jeremiah 51:9, it says, "We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go, everyone into his own country, for her judgment reaches into the heaven and is lifted up even to the skies." Right? And I actually had that one planned to bring out. Right? Because I was going into how this place is a double rebellion, going back to the 21st verse. Right? The Tower of Babel, that was rebellion against the Most High, but this is a double rebellion. Right? So therefore, what's the judgment going to be for this bitch? Right? Double the judgment. And as a matter of fact, since the brother pulled it, let's go to the book of Revelations, the 18th chapter. Right? Revelations 18. Revelations 18 and verses 5. And it reads, I might as well start at 1. Revelations 18:1, it says, "And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird." Right, which is going to be the end game for Babylon. This is going to be a place, fucking desert. Right, you know, from New York all the way to California, all the way to fucking Alaska. Right, Babylon is going to be completely engulfed in flames, man, in nuclear fire, man. Right, when John, whenever he received that vision, you know, he was taken up in the spirit, and he had actually seen, you know what I mean, the sea of glass mingled with fire. He was in that chariot, and he was looking down, seeing America fully engulfed in flames, man. All right, this is how America's gonna become the habitation of devils, man. Right, gonna be a big ass desert, you know what I'm saying, a no man's land, you know what I'm saying, full of Komodo dragons and scorpions and shit, man. Right, the so-called Arabian, the so-called Japanese, Chinese, they're not gonna come over here and set up shop again, man. Right, this is basically gonna be a big ass memorial, right, in the kingdom of heaven, to let everybody know, right, this is the punishment, this is what you will get, you know what I'm saying, if you live that kind of way. Because what was Sodom and Gomorrah? Sodom and Gomorrah was labeled an example, an example for those that wanted to live ungodly after. Right, so this is why America's gonna go out in a fashion that it's gonna go out in, man. Right, because of the ways that people conduct themselves, or the ways that people live, man. Right, it's okay to be a sodomite. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers here, their diets is completely off. You know, people here into all type of different ideologies and philosophies. You got motherfuckers here who believe in the Anunnaki. You know what I'm saying? You got motherfuckers here just through, just dead. Right, the valley, dry bones. Jake is dry bones like a motherfucker, man. Right, Jake has no hydration whatsoever. Right, but even then, brothers do gotta consider themselves to be blessed, because everybody not gonna receive this hydration, man. All right, you see, here it is. We out on the houses and the hedges. I can count on two hands how many Jakes I done saw pass by looking and shit. You know what I mean? And ain't none of them inquire. Well, that's because it ain't given to everybody, man. Right? But Isaiah the 6th chapter, you know, Jacob's gonna go out right along with the so-called white man. Right? You got these niggas that's getting ready to be drafted into this Star Wars war, because the Most High said that he's finna make a great sacrifice, man. Right? He gonna lead them to the slaughter. Alright? Back in the book of Jeremiah 50, in verse 24, it says, "I have laid a snare for thee, and thou also taken." And one of them snares was the Most High allowing this man to go to Venezuela, set up a puppet, take over the oil, take over the energy, and get that pride lifted up, and develop that same mindset to go do the same thing to Iran. And we see how that's working out, no? Right? That's a trap setup for this man, right? For his own demise, because this is all just going to escalate into that third world war, man. You know what I'm saying? A fight don't just happen, you know what I'm saying, just off the bat. You don't see people just squabbling, man. Nah, it probably start with them talking shit. They bump into each other or something. They exchange words. It's the same thing when it comes to war, because these other nations know the devastation that a nuclear war will cause, man. Right? So they not gonna just kick this shit off right away, right? And you ain't gonna establish global dominance, right, and get these resources by just shooting missiles off the back, man. No, you're gonna have these, you're gonna have all this shit set up before that it leads to that big war, right? What Christians call the War of Armageddon, the War of Armageddon. All right, which means the Valley of Troops, right? This is why you see all nations getting involved in some way, shape, or form. All right, they all getting involved, right? Because the Most High is gonna bring them down there, right, to the Valley of Yehoshaphat, which will be, what is it? When you read in Joel the 2nd chapter, it goes into how his hinder part was gonna be towards the utmost sea. Man, I'm gonna have to grab it real quick. Let's go to the. Man, shut your bitch ass up. Get the fuck off. Let's go to the book of Joel 2. In verses, I think it's 21, Salak. This is the book of Joel 2. In verse 20, it says, "But I will remove far from you the northern army," right, which is Babylon the Great, North America, all right, "and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, which will be over there in Saudi Arabia," which is basically a big-ass desert, all right. It says, "with his face towards the east sea," which is the Persian Gulf, all right, "and his hinder part," and this is what you see them fighting over right now, all right, the Persian Gulf. That's basically where the Strait of Hormuz is located, man. All right, "and his hinder part towards the utmost sea," which is the what is it? Damn, I know you got the Persian Gulf and you got the Caspian Sea, if I ain't mistaken. That'll be his his backside. All right. It says, "and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he had done great things," which proves that whenever y'all get drafted, y'all not gonna come back, right? Once you get sent over there, right? That's basically, you know what I'm saying? That'll be your demise, man. All right, you got dumbass Jakes that's still joining the Navy. Niggas is joining the Army. You know what I'm saying? You still got niggas joining the Marines and shit. All right, you niggas are stupid. This is the worst time. Even what's that one Jake name? Nicholas Irvin. He's a former Marine. He even said, he's an Army Ranger, Salaki. He even said it himself that why would you join the military right now? Right? This is literally the worst time to join the fucking American military. All right? Because he even know, you know what I'm saying? He know that we, you know what I'm saying, we Israelites, right? He even considered himself to be an Israelite. Right? He knows that America is gonna lose this war. All right, this is gonna be the war to end all wars, and this shit is gonna be bad. It's gonna be worse than what most people can even anticipate it to be, right? Because you probably got people that think that they're gonna go over there, right, fuck around and have a chance of winning, come back. No, all right. Once America is fully drawn over there, all right, once troops are sent over there, all right, there is no return, man. Right? There's no point of return right now. Right? What's done is already done. Right? All this is, when you read in 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, is them great birth pains, man. Right? Them great birth pains leading all the way up until that deliverance, so to speak, man. Right? Which will be that war to end all wars, man. Back in Jeremiah 50 and 24, it says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou also taken on Babylon. Right? They bit the bait. And thou was not aware, thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. The Lord opened his army and the rock, Slack, and had brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord Yahweh of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. Come against her from the utmost border, open her storehouse, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing of her be left. Slay all her bullocks. Let them go down to the slaughter. Woe to them for the day for their day is come, the time of their visitation. So you have, I seen that it was posted 2 weeks ago. Also seen the elder from the Kansas City camp make a lesson on it, going into how Trump, it's a possibility that they can draft, 60,000 troops and send them over there to that region, man. That's going to be all for the slaughter, because once it's boots on the ground, they even said it themselves, right? They not worried about you Americans invading, man. Right? Your ass been struggling for the past 20 or 30 years going over there. Your ass done lost that war pretty much, right? Because of how the terrain, you know what I mean? There's mountains and shit. They've been fighting there for millenniums, man. Right? They know their land from the inside out. All right? They even said it. They said, let them invade. Let them. Because they know that they're going to put that belt on your ass, man. Right? Once it's boots on the ground over there. All right? It's going to be a fucking slaughter. Right? And whenever this war fully kick off, it's going to be the ultimate slaughter. The Most High even said that he's preparing a great feast for the fowls of the air, man. Right? Just imagine how many souls, how many bodies is going to be over there fighting in this Star Wars war, man. All right? The scripture says in the book of Ezekiel, the 39th chapter, that it's going to take, what is it, I think 7 months, right, for these heathens, whenever we come up off them chairs, for them to bury all the fucking dead, man. Right? Because of how much death is going to be over there. That's why I say, once you get sent over there, you're not going to come back. Right? You get sent over there, you done basically, you know what I'm saying, wrote your damn death letter, man. Right? That's it. And I think I got a precept for that. As a matter of fact, we can grab it. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel 39, and I think it's 17. This is the book of Ezekiel 39, in verse 17, it says, O thou son of man, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, speak unto every feathered fowl, and to every beast of the field, and assemble yourselves, and come, gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice that I do sacrifice for you, even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Israel, that ye may eat flesh and drink blood. Ye shall eat the flesh of the mighty, and drink the blood of the princes of the earth, and rams of rams, of lambs, and of goats and bullocks, all of them fatlings of Bashan. And ye shall eat fat till ye be full, and drink blood till ye be drunken of my sacrifices which I have sacrificed for you. All right, so you're gonna have top military generals over there. Right, you're gonna have army rangers over there. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have these different commanders over there. Right, they all gonna go over there, and the Lord is gonna kill their ass, man. Whether it be a fucking bullet, a tank hitting you, you know what I'm saying, you getting blew up, you know, and ultimately, them nuclear missiles, right? And on top of that, you also gonna have to fight Yahweh Shah when he come back, because Yahweh Shah is gonna come back in the midst of the Third World War, man. Right? So when you read in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, it goes into that large multitude, right? That's basically gonna come up against Yahweh Shah, right? And Ezra, when he saw this vision, he said that upon the sudden of an innumerable multitude of a large ass number, right, it was nothing but the dust and the smell of smoke. Right? Meaning people got their ass turning to powder, man. Like when you watch that movie War of the Worlds, when they was over there striking them tripods or whatever you want to call them, they were striking shit. And motherfuckers was turning to dust. Tom Cruise, when we went in the house, he had to shake the dust off and shit. Right? That's basically where they get that from, man. This is what Ezra saw. Horrible ass vision, man. right? When you read the 15th chapter, Ezra saw the sky full of, you know what I'm saying, military aircrafts flooding the skies, man. Like, what is it? I forgot what that shit called. I don't know if it's called the Battle of London or what it was, but it was basically a war going back to the early 1900s where in London, right, the sky was full of planes and shit, right? You see a whole ass war in the sky. The sky was fucking red and orange and shit because of shit, you know, missiles flying up and knocking planes out the sky and shit. Motherfuckers parachuting off the planes dropping shit. You know what I mean? Right? That's basically kind of like what he saw. Right? He saw a horrible vision, right, of clouds coming from the east, right, and from the west. All right, going into that Third World War. A lot of people don't think that the Third World War is prophesied in the scriptures, but when you go into it's all written throughout the Old Testament, right, and it's also written in the New Testament. The New Testament is basically a reflection of the so-called Old Testament. All right. So back in Ezekiel 39 and 20, it says, "Thus ye shall be filled at my table with horses and chariots, with mighty men, and with all men of war, saith the Lord Yahweh. And I will set my glory among the heathen, and all the heathen shall see my judgment that I have executed in my hand that I have laid upon it." All right, and let's go back to the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter, real quick, because this is what's going to be that judgment that they're going to see, man. All right, this is the book of Joel 3, in chapter 3 and verse 9. It says, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up." So I remember, what was it, going back to the beginning of the pandemic. All right, you had North Korea, they was showing their little super soldiers breaking shit with their head, center blocks with their head, doing little karate kicks and shit. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker laying on glass, putting a center block on his chest, letting the dude break that motherfucker ass on the chest. You know what I mean? Also, it was talks of Moab. They're creating super soldiers by injecting them or something. Right? It's also talks on how they're basically merging, right, technology, you know what I'm saying, with human flesh, what they call cyborgs, transhumanism, which is what that MOTB is, man. That's basically considered transhumanism, man. Right? Because you become one with that technology, which is also the highest form of idolatry. This is why when you take it, the punishment for taking it as an Israelite, right, is death. Ain't no repentance from that shit. Once you take the MOTB, which is that RFID microchip, right, there is no repentance, man. You take that shit, yo, you might as well fucking kill yourself, right? Because the only thing that you're gonna have looking forward after that is a nuclear missile, man. Right? You basically signed away your life to the so-called white man. You basically said that he is your God, right? And the Most High is not your God, man. All right. Back in Joel 3 and 10, it says, "Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong." This is what we see happening right now, because going back 50 years ago, a couple decades ago, right, these other nations wasn't bucking up against Babylon like how they is now, man. Right, but the Most High, you know, going back to Jeremiah the 50th chapter, right, it went into the weapons of his indignation. Right, the Most High had blessed this man with the sword, right, just for the other nations to get their hands on the same technology that he has, man. Right? And the technology that he has, this is going to be the way that he's going to go out. They even show you that in, Terminator Judgment Day, right? When Sarah Connor was on the fence and that nuclear fire hit her ass and it combusted her, right? Because of how fervent that he was. You know what I mean? That's what's going to be happening to the souls that's going to be left here. You know, Ezekiel, the 20th chapter, it goes into how you're going to be melted. You're going to be melted. Right, but a lot of you're gonna be combusting and shit too because of how hot that damn heat is. You know, like whenever, Jay growing up, when you trying to make a quick little snack or some shit, you know, you probably don't know how to boil a hot dog or nothing, grill a hot dog. So you put this shit in the microwave. You put that shit in the microwave and you leave it in there too long, that bitch bust all open and shit. That's what's gonna be happening to you people's bodies, man. Right, you got these people that have these different bunkers and shit. Right, you got these bunkers. basically them concrete. You live, bro. That's nothing but concrete. All right, the Lord gonna heat your ass up in there, man. Like the accounts of Hiroshima and Nagasaki when they had dropped that bomb, that atomic bomb, and people seen what was happening to the other people's bodies. They was talking about how people's skin was just falling off them. You know what I mean? Just melting off them. You also seen people trying to jump in water, and people was in that bitch burning like coals. I'm talking about whole bodies was lit up like coal, man. All right, that's what's gonna be happening to you in them damn concrete bunkers, man. Right? If them concrete bunkers was really gonna work, don't you think that them elites would have them concrete bunkers too? There's a reason why they digging down 2 miles into the damn earth, man. Right, to try to escape that. You know what I mean? But all they gonna be is just the first fruits of slaves in the kingdom of heaven, man. Back in the book of Joel 3 and 12, it says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, right, which is in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shaphat, which means Yahweh's decision or Yahweh's judgment. All right, there's a reason why this hey, I think what was in it, Albert Pike, he had said it himself that if there was to be a nuclear war, it would send us back into the Stone Age, man. Right? The next war will be fought with sticks and stones, because that's how bad this shit gonna be, man. All right. Even the Oppenheimer, man. Which they even put a movie out on it. Oppenheimer, after they had successfully tested the first atomic bomb in New Mexico, he regretted that shit. Right? He regretted that shit because he knew that was gonna be the world's demise, but it's not just gonna be the world, you know what I'm saying, in all generality, even though you're gonna have certain parts of the earth that do get hit with nuclear missiles. Right? That's gonna be America's demise, man. That's how America is gonna go out in fully. Right? The whole, from like I said, from New York, from California, from fucking Montana all the way to Texas, is gonna be engulfed in flames, man. Alright. It says, put ye the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for the wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near, in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And why are they going to withdraw their shining? Why is the sky going to be blotted out? Right? Because of the nuclear, those mushroom clouds, man. Right? That is America going to have the sky smoky than a motherfucker. Right? You can even see it. Like I remember, and that shit was probably borderline nuclear. That bomb that they had dropped on Beirut. What is it, in Lebanon? I forgot where that shit is. It's some, Middle Eastern city. But that bomb that they had dropped on Beirut, you know what I mean? That shit had the sky smoky. You know what I mean? So just imagine, the scriptures goes into Revelation, the 9th chapter. Was it 200 million? Right? Which ain't just gonna be 200 million missiles independently, right? But I remember the apostle Ramlov, he was breaking it down, and it's also talking about the propeller, man, because also one nuclear missile can contain, I think I've seen the most, can contain up to 20 warheads, man. All right? So that's going to be a whole lot of missiles and warheads just pelting this bitch. Right? So imagine all that smoke going up into the sky, man. All right? You're going to be able to see this shit from overseas probably, man. All right? That's why when you read in the book of Revelation, the 18th chapter, it goes into how other nations shall weep and wail when they shall see the smoke of her burning, man. All right? You're going to see it from Russia. You know what I mean? A mushroom cloud can ascend above Mount Everest, man. So you're going to be able to see it overseas and shit. This is how the other nations, they're going to be able to see the judgment of Babylon. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if they have people broadcasting it. Like how they had motherfuckers broadcasting 9/11 whenever they, whatever. Yeah, you'll probably have people over here broadcasting the shit that's happening, man. All right? Everybody going to witness the destruction of Babylon, man. Right? But the way that you want to witness it is being on that sea of glass mingled with fire, man. Right? If you're not in the spirit to be a part of the hopeful elect and make it, man, right? So that you can see this bitch burning, because I don't want to be here whenever, you know what I'm saying, that wall of fire coming and shit. Right? A lot of you niggas think that it's just gonna be a quick flash and you gonna burn quick and that's gonna be it. Fuck no. Alright, you're gonna be left here and you're gonna burn, man. You're gonna feel every bit of that fire, man. And it's not gonna be the type of fire that you touch the stove and be like, you know what I'm saying, a lighter type of hot. No, this is gonna be fervent heat. Heat that's gonna have your ass glowing like a lamp. You know what I'm saying? It says, the sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. The Lord shall also war out of Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But the Lord will be the hope of his people and the strength of his children of Israel. All right, so when you go to Isaiah, I think it's, what is it, the 20th chapter, if I'm mistaken, 20 and 22 or 20 and 24, it goes into how the earth was going real to and fro like a drunkard. So imagine you just having a glass of water and you shaking it. That shit's going to be chaotic, right? You know, it's going to be tsunamis and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be floods. You know what I mean? They also show you in one of these movies, I forgot what the movie was called, bro. Right, but they show you when a nuclear missile go off. And I ain't talking about a regular bomb. I'm talking about a nuclear missile. All right? When it go off, that shit be causing fucking tsunamis and shit, man. All right? The earth going to be shaking, because just imagine because as missiles is coming here, you're going to have missiles leaving Babylon as well, man. Hitting other different parts of the globe, man. Right? Imagine what that's going to do. You could probably feel a nuclear missile hit from 50 miles away, 100 miles away, man. Right? Imagine when they just pelting this bitch. You're gonna be feeling the earth shake, man. Man, the earth is gonna be devastated. This is why we're gonna have to be taken up out of this the earth's atmosphere, man. Right? Taken completely off the earth because of the devastation that the nuclear missiles is gonna cause, man. All right. So I think I got a little more in Jeremiah the 50th chapter. Jeremiah 50 and 28, back in Jeremiah the 50th chapter, verse 28, it says, the voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon, to declare in Zion the vengeance of the Lord, our power, the vengeance of his temple. Call together the archers against Babylon. Right? The archers is anybody who has that nuclear capability, who has these different nuclear silos, right? Who has the ability, right, to shoot missiles from one continent to another, man. All right. All ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about, let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done to her, for she hath been proud against the Lord, against the Holy One of Israel. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith the Lord. Right, so all the mighty men, right, that's in these military, they're gonna be sent over there. And you got these Americans, these American generals, right, that's in the Marines, the armies, you know, so on and so forth, these different branches in the military. You know, they quit their job and shit because they don't want to go fight for Israel. But little do you know, right, your ass is gonna get sent over there whether you like it or not. All right, and just like how America has went and bombed other different cities, right, overseas, right, you know, bombing Moabites and shit. Right, they're not gonna have no pity upon you Americans either, man. Right, because what is America sown throughout the planet Earth? Right, nothing but rape, robbery, and murder, wickedness. So what do you think is gonna be the end result for Babylon, man? And that's the spirit called Yahweh Shema Shah. All right. It says, call together the archers against Babylon, all you that bend the bow, camp against it round about, let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done unto her, for she hath been proud against the Lord, against the Holy One of Israel. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith the Lord. Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. For that day is come, the time that I will visit thee. Right? And how was the Most High going to visit Babylon? Right? Through that nuclear annihilation, man. All right? And the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up, and I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all him that all round about him. All right? It says, and the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up, because going to, what is it, the book of Malachi 1:4? Right? The Most High said that he will allow this man to come back and build, right after the Roman Empire fell. Right, he came back and built during the Renaissance era, but that was that little season that he was let loose, right? But now we're in that time, right, where his empire is coming to an end. Hence why Revelation 12:12 says he's gonna come down with that great wrath, because he know that he has but a short time, right? This man gonna say fuck it and get to pressing that button. You know what I'm saying? And getting letting missiles flying from this motherfucker, because he know that it's over with. Right? If they didn't know that it was over with, if they thought that they had a chance, they wouldn't have them fucking them bunkers, man. Right? And again, these ain't any just type of bunker. You know what I mean? These are bunkers that go 2-3 miles underground, man. You know, Amos the 9th chapter goes into how they, you know, in the Mount of Caramel, you know what I'm saying? They all in hell. They got fucking you know, space stations and shit. Alright? But you know, with that being said, it's really a lot more to get into. But you know, I pretty much put the nail in the coffin, you know, hit it on the head. I don't to Zah. This lesson was edifying. That my sacrifice was acceptable in the eyes of Yahweh Shema Shah. Right? And that, you know, you brothers and sisters that are tuning in, and that did tune in, you know, did get something from this epistle, man. So with that being said, before I close it out, I want to face the east, giving all the glory to Yahweh, by Shema Shah, by Shema Kakadash. Again, those are the names of the Heavenly Father, as well as his Son in the ancient Hebrew, who the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus Christ. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, who I'm taught, and do learn this truth 100% from. With that being said, Shalom. Yahweh Shema Shah Brakatah, and Abba Shalom.